3 golden dragon light pillars shot up into the sky, illuminating the land for miles. All around, people from various factions stood frozen, gazing up at the pillars of light, their eyes filled with shock. The golden dragon disciples were such a rarity, and those who had experienced it firsthand knew exactly what it represented. To be chosen as a golden dragon disciple meant the person was a true son of destiny, someone with an exceptional fate, even among ancient superpowers like the ancient Heavenly Palace, which once dominated the Tianluo continent. A golden dragon disciple would still stand as a paragon of pride, looking around at the current state of the Tianluo continent. Many believed that only the top 4 on the strongest list could ever qualify to become golden dragon disciples. Yet, the scene before them was almost unbelievable, for the 3 people before them were complete strangers. Are all 3 of them really golden dragon disciples? After a moment of stunned silence, countless voices erupted with shock. Impossible! Becoming a golden dragon disciple isn't that easy. Did they cheat? Heh, if it were that easy to cheat the Dragon Ascension Gate, then the golden dragon disciples wouldn't be so rare. These 3 are definitely not ordinary. Among the voices, some expressed doubt, but more chose to accept it rationally. After all, they had all gone through the Dragon Ascension Gate themselves, and they knew how powerful that test was. Finding a flaw in it was no easy feat. Meanwhile, the experts from the Great Xia dynasty were left speechless. Even Xia Hong, standing among them, looked as pale as a ghost. After a long pause, he finally lost his composure and growled at Mu Chen, You, too, can become a golden dragon disciple? When he had fought Mu Chen earlier, Mu Chen had only been at the half-step 9th grade, so even though he was powerful, his combat ability was at most equivalent to the peak 9th grade. Yet a golden dragon disciple had to at least reach the perfect 9th grade and possess various trump cards before earning that title. The other experts of the Great Xia dynasty fell into silence. The arrogance they had earlier was completely gone. And facing the 3 golden dragon disciples, even their overwhelming numbers couldn't boost their confidence. Shut up. Xia Yu shot a cold glare at the shouting Xia Hong before turning to look deeply at Xiao Xiao and Lin Jing. He was starting to sense a faint but unmistakable danger emanating from the 2 women. And as for Mu Chen, despite appearing to only be at the initial 9th grade, Xia Yu's sharp instincts told him that this person had a deep and hidden strength. Xia Yu had truly kicked a steel plate this time. His face twitched slightly, and a hint of regret appeared in his heart. He regretted not taking action when he met Mu Chen in the spatial passage earlier. Had he done so, he might have been able to destroy Mu Chen right then and there. Now, Mu Chen had somehow managed to find 2 such powerful and mysterious allies. Facing this lineup, Xia Yu doubted he could gain any real advantage, even if they were to go to war. After a few moments, the 3 golden dragon light pillars slowly dissipated. Mu Chen and the others put away their golden dragon tokens, and he turned to Xia Yu and the others, asking, So, now, do we still need to hand over our treasures? Xia Yu's expression darkened, and then his gaze shifted. Suddenly, he flashed a gentle smile at Xiao Xiao and Lin Jing. Ladies, may I ask where you're from? I don't believe I've seen you on the Tianluo continent before. I am Xia Yu, the crown prince of the Great Xia dynasty. If you are willing to watch from the sidelines in the conflict between my Great Xia dynasty and Mu Chen, I will be sure to reward you handsomely. Though Mu Chen was also a golden dragon disciple, which made him a formidable opponent, Xia Yu believed that if he could get these 2 mysterious women to stay out of the fight, he still had a chance of dealing with Mu Chen. After all, Xia Yu was also a golden dragon disciple, and he didn't believe Mu Chen's status as a disciple could possibly be stronger than his own. However, Mu Chen made no effort to stop Xia Yu's attempts at persuasion. Instead, he smiled and looked at him, not believing that a mere Great Xia dynasty could sway these 2 young ladies, both of whom had formidable backgrounds. As Mu Chen had expected, Xiao Xiao gave him a cold glance before turning her eyes away in a lazy gesture, clearly uninterested. But Lin Jing, as if suddenly recalling something, reached into her sleeve and pulled out a golden scroll. She waved it slightly and said, So you're the crown prince of the Great Xia dynasty. How fortunate. Not long ago, your royal brother lost a bet and owes me 1 billion supreme spiritual liquid. He said to just come to you for it. Seeing this, Xia Hong's face immediately turned pale. Beside him, Xia Yu's mouth twitched. His face looked extremely grim as he glanced at Xia Hong. 100 million supreme spiritual liquid. This was basically going to drain the Great Xia dynasty's treasury. Not to mention him, even his father, the emperor, would never be willing to part with such an amount. What, are you trying to back out? Great Xia dynasty? Lin Jing's expression darkened the moment she saw his face. Xia Yu took a deep breath and said coldly, "The sum is too large for me to decide. You can take this matter to my father, the emperor, and have him settle it." Of course, he wouldn't acknowledge the debt. If Lin Jing dared to bring this note to his father, the only thing awaiting her would be a swift and decisive dismissal. After all, for all these years, there were hardly any who dared to try and extort the Great Xia dynasty. But Lin Jing, hearing his words, seemed as if she hadn't anticipated this response. She simply nodded and said, "In that case, I'll go straight to the Xia emperor to demand payment." Xia Yu, Xia Hong, and the others twitched at the corners of their mouths, looking at Lin Jing as if she were a fool. However, as they looked at her, they suddenly noticed Mu Chen, Jiu Yu, and the others were also looking at them the same way. They froze, feeling an uneasy sense that something wasn't right. Mu Chen, however, had no intention of explaining anything to them. When they eventually realized Lin Jing's identity, they would understand just how foolish their looks had been. These idiots really thought no one would dare collect debts from the Great Xia dynasty? Did they really think they could back out of a debt note signed by the daughter of the martial ancestor? If this young lady wanted, she could easily summon an elder from the martial realm to teach the Great Xia dynasty some lessons. If Brother Xia has no more tricks up his sleeve, shall we be on our way? Mu Chen gave Xia Yu a slight smile. He had no intention of fighting them here. With so many people on their side, it would take a lot of time, and right now, the most important thing was to reach the heavenly pool and undergo the heavenly pool baptism. As for Xia Yu, there would be plenty of opportunities to deal with him later. Xia Yu clenched his fists as he watched Mu Chen smile, his heart seething with frustrated anger. What was once a mere ant in his eyes, someone he could crush at will, was now free to come and go as he pleased before him, yet he couldn't do a thing about it. But no matter how furious he felt, Xia Yu couldn't bring himself to utter a single word of provocation. He knew that if they actually fought, they wouldn't come out on top. The experts from the Great Xia dynasty also remained silent. Since even Xia Yu didn't dare speak, how could they have the courage to? Meanwhile, the onlookers couldn't help but snicker. Earlier, Xia Yu had acted so high and mighty, believing he could easily suppress Mu Chen. Yet, in a flash, the situation had reversed, leaving him looking utterly foolish. Countless eyes filled with schadenfreude were cast upon him, and Xia Yu could sense it. He could only clench his teeth and bear it. Seeing that Xia Yu and the others remained silent, Mu Chen simply smiled faintly, losing interest in further engagement. With a casual step, he walked into the air and began heading in the direction of the heavenly pool. Xiao Xiao, Lin Jing, and Jiu Yu followed closely behind. As the four of them strode away under the gaze of countless powerful figures, no one dared to stop them, not even those who had previously envied them for obtaining treasures from Dragon Island. 3 golden dragon disciples were enough to intimidate any would-be troublemakers. Xia Yu and the others watched helplessly as Mu Chen and his group departed, unable to say a word. The arrogance they had earlier was now completely gone, leaving them like wilted vegetables. "Your Highness," Xia Hong spoke reluctantly. He had originally hoped to use this opportunity to get revenge on Mu Chen for severing his arm, but who could have predicted that Mu Chen's strength had grown so powerful, to the point where even Xia Yu was now too intimidated to act? "Shut up," Xia Yu snapped, glaring at Xia Hong. "If it weren't for you trying to provoke Mu Chen, we wouldn't have ended up in this mess." Despite his frustration, Xia Yu knew that, even with his strength, facing Mu Chen and his group would be a challenge. While he was confident he could defeat Mu Chen, he wasn't so sure about defeating the mysterious Lin Jing and Xiao Xiao after being scolded. Xia Hong's face alternated between pale and green. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said, "Are we just going to let it go like this? Father told me the reputation of the Great Xia dynasty cannot be trampled by someone at the half-step." 9th grade. Xia Yu's eyes grew cold as he stared at the direction Mu Chen's group had gone. After a long silence, he sneered, "This won't be settled so easily. Humph, this boy. I don't know where he found those 2 powerful helpers, but does he really think I have no connections? I'm sure Kalavinka and the others will be wary of these suddenly appeared golden dragon disciples. At that point, I can join forces with them and expel these outsiders." His eyes darkened as he spoke, and his voice became even more chilling. "Mu Chen, since you dared to offend the Great Xia dynasty, let's see if you have the ability to back it up." Mu Chen and the 3 others left Dragon Island, with the presence of the 3 golden dragon disciples, even though many people had become aware that Mu Chen and his group might have obtained treasures from within Dragon Island. No one dared to target or follow them. Even Xia, you could only watch them leave, feeling frustrated but unable to take action. After leaving Dragon Island, Chen and his companions didn't search for other stone islands. Although there might still be powerful treasures on those other mansion islands, they were clearly focusing on the legendary Heavenly Pool. After all, the baptism of the Heavenly Pool was a rare opportunity for them, especially for those who hadn't yet reached the Earth Supreme level. Even individuals like Xiao and Linjing, with their prestigious identities, were moved by the prospect, let alone Chen. With their goals set, the four of them continued their journey without delay. However, even at full speed, it was half a day before they finally crossed the endless floating islands. On a solitary stone island, Chen and his companions appeared. They scanned their surroundings and saw that within 100 miles, the sky had begun to open up, much like the previous stone island group, but this time, there were no islands in sight. This was the edge of the island group. "We're getting close to the heart of the ancient heavenly palace," Chen said as he gazed into the distance. The spiritual energy in this area was so overwhelming it seemed almost unreal. The spiritual mist surged through the air, and in the sky, brilliant spiritual clouds appeared. These could only form when spiritual energy had condensed to an extraordinary level. Looking further ahead, the mountains rose in layers, and broken stone towers were faintly visible on some peaks. In the distance, the outline of an ancient palace seemed to materialize. The entire area was shrouded in a silence and an ancient aura. "Once we pass through this stone island region, we should be close to the Heavenly Pool," Chen said, pulling out a map to confirm their location. He then spoke to Xiao and the other two women. Xiao nodded slightly, her alluring gaze sweeping across the silent expanse. Though it appeared peaceful and devoid of any immediate danger, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "You sensed something?" Chen noticed her expression and smiled. "What's going on?" Linjing asked in confusion, clearly sensing something as well, though unable to pinpoint the source of the danger. Jiuyo's beautiful eyes also scanned the area, but for the moment, she couldn't identify the problem either. "Do you see those light columns?" Chen pointed at the fist-sized light beams that seemed to be shooting down from the floating spiritual clouds above. From a distance, they appeared to be nothing more than normal refracted light. Hearing Chen's reminder, Xiao, Linjing, and Jiuyo finally noticed that the light columns were emitting unusual fluctuations. Xiao flicked her finger, releasing spiritual energy that lifted a massive boulder and sent it flying toward one of the light columns. However, as soon as the boulder touched the light, it split apart with a sharp sound. The break smooth like a mirror. It seemed that the light column was not a mere illusion but a sharp blade. Huh. The three women were all surprised. Those spiritual clouds have set up an array. Spiritual energy is being gathered within them and then refracted down, creating a massive net that envelopes this area. These light columns are extremely sharp. Anyone at the 9th grade supreme level would lose limbs if they encountered them, Chen casually explained, pointing to the spiritual clouds in the sky. Hearing this, the expressions of the three women changed slightly. If they charged through those light columns without any precautions, they would likely suffer some losses. "The ancient heavenly palace is full of deadly traps," Jiuyo couldn't help but mutter. "These are probably the defense mechanisms of the ancient heavenly palace, activated when the extraterritorial clans attacked Tianluo continent. They haven't been turned off since," Chen sighed. He had noticed countless skeletal remains, broken armor, and shattered weapons scattered across the land in the distance. The bones were clear and white, emitting a faint glow, indicating that the owners were once powerful warriors. It seemed that a brutal and tragic battle had taken place here in the past, leading to the fall of many strong cultivators within the ancient heavenly palace. But why haven't I seen any remains of the extraterritorial clans? Chen suddenly thought of something. He had yet to see a single corpse from the extraterritorial clans. Because the evil power cultivated by the extraterritorial clan is completely incompatible with the spiritual energy of the Great Thousand Worlds, their corpses, after they fall, gradually dissolve into the spiritual energy of the world as time passes, leaving nothing behind. Linjing explained aloud, such matters were rarely known to ordinary strong cultivators, but she was different. As the daughter of the martial ancestor, she clearly knew much more about the so-called extraterritorial clan. Upon hearing this, Chen suddenly understood. "Let's move out," Chen said to the three women. "These light pillars are troublesome, but as long as we avoid them carefully, we'll be fine." With that, he slowed down and flew ahead. As they approached the light pillars, he skillfully maneuvered around them. The dangerous light pillars remained motionless, showing no signs of pursuing them. It was clear that after thousands of years, the defensive measures had begun to show cracks. The three women, seeing that Chen was moving forward safely, sighed in relief and quickly followed suit. The area covered by the spiritual cloud slowed their pace considerably. However, thanks to Chen's reminder, the area, which had once been filled with danger, was now smoothly traversed by them. After successfully passing through the spiritual cloud zone, the four of them picked up speed again for nearly half an hour. Then, their pace slowed once more. They suddenly heard strange sounds coming from the distant heavens and earth. A faint sound of water splashing. It was the crisp sound of flowing water. However, as this sound reached Chen and the others' ears, they could clearly feel that their internal spiritual energy seemed to have been stirred. It began to bubble up uncontrollably. The sensation was like that of a dying person encountering a drop of sweet water falling from the sky, intoxicating and maddening. Realizing the surge of their spiritual energy, the four of them quickly suppressed it. After a moment, they finally managed to calm themselves, but their expressions were clearly shaken. It was just the sound of water, yet it had caused their internal spiritual energy to surge. Clearly, the source of this water sound was their destination, the heavenly pool. The eyes of the four of them lit up in an instant, a rare expression of excitement appearing on their faces. Then, they accelerated, and after several breaths, they passed over a towering mountain peak. As the massive mountain that seemed to hold up the heavens disappeared from their sight, their vision became suddenly vast and endless. Brilliant light rushed toward them, so intense that even their eyes, protected by spiritual energy, felt a sharp sting. They couldn't help but squint in response. After a moment, the intense light subsided, and their vision gradually cleared. When they saw what lay ahead, they couldn't help but take a sharp breath. Before them was an immense, seemingly endless ocean. The sea was a deep azure, set against a backdrop that resembled the starry sky, dark and profound. The water was crystal clear, shimmering with the light of what seemed like stars. Occasionally, the water would churn, spraying countless crystal-like particles into the air. Each of these particles was formed from condensed spiritual energy, and when they fell back into the water, they turned back into liquid. Because the spiritual energy was so concentrated, the sea appeared to be surrounded by spiritual mist that took the form of dragons and phoenixes soaring together, with myriad beasts galloping beneath them, as if the sea was a small world unto itself. What was even more astonishing was that this vast ocean was floating in the sky. At the edge of the ocean, the space itself was shattered. The waves crashed against it, causing even the fabric of space to tremble. Chen and the others could clearly sense that, although the ocean appeared to be right in front of them, it was in a different space altogether. It was evident that this ocean had been sealed away in a specially created space by an incredibly powerful being using terrifying methods. The four of them were stunned by the sight of this boundless ocean. After a long pause, they slowly snapped out of their daze, their expressions filled with awe. However, it quickly turned to excitement because they knew that the ocean before them, though suspended in the sky, was sealed in a separate space. This was their long-desired goal. The heavenly river. Truly worthy of being the cornerstone that helped the ancient heavenly palace flourish. Even Xiao, who had the same astonishing status, couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. The heavenly river before them was undoubtedly a monumental achievement. One could imagine that in order to create it, the heavenly emperor of the ancient heavenly palace must have exerted tremendous effort. Such vast resources. Even some of the most powerful forces in the Great Thousand Worlds today might not be able to produce something like this. Linjing also nodded in agreement. This was the foundation of the former hegemon of the Tianluo continent, truly impressive. While they were speaking, Chen gradually regained his senses. He withdrew his gaze from the heavenly river and was about to speak when suddenly, his heart stirred. A peculiar sensation arose from deep within, causing him to sharply turn his head and look toward a distant mountain peak. There, on a solitary peak, stood a man in black, his hands clasped behind his back. His figure was tall and slender, and his presence was as deep as an abyss, unfathomable. The peak beneath his feet, once towering and majestic, seemed to be overshadowed by the man's imposing aura. It was as if the mountain itself had been reduced to insignificance, and all attention was drawn to him. This person was extraordinary. Chen's pupils contracted, a deep sense of alertness rising from within him. His body tensed immediately, entering a state of combat readiness. Although the man in black was unfamiliar to him, Chen knew the man's identity the instant he saw him. The fact that his body instinctively reacted with such caution could only mean one thing. This was someone who had also cultivated the Great Sun indestructible body, just like Garuda. At the same moment, Garuda, standing on the distant peak, seemed to sense something as well. His abyss-like eyes turned toward Chen. The two gazes met in midair, and for a brief moment, it felt as though space itself distorted. Garuda's eyes were deep and unfathomable. He locked onto Chen's figure. The smile that always lingered on his face seemed to fade, as he felt an unusual fluctuation in his spiritual energy. Even the space behind him trembled slightly, as if a massive light and shadow were about to condense. That was the supreme Dharmakaya he had cultivated, now seemingly about to manifest on its own. However, Garuda eventually suppressed it, forcing the transformation back. His hawk-like eyes remained fixed on Chen, and within their depths, a terrifying killing intent began to surge. The moment that killing intent emerged, a powerful wave of spiritual energy erupted from Garuda, like a volcano, instantly darkening the surrounding sky. His figure grew more oppressive, as though the very mountain beneath him trembled in fear of being destroyed. As Garuda's killing intent erupted, Chen also reacted. Golden light radiated from his body, and the sound of the dragon and phoenix singing in harmony echoed. His arms glowed with the spirit of the true dragon and phoenix, unleashing a powerful energy fluctuation. Behind him, space twisted, and the Supreme Sea seemed to appear, with overwhelming spiritual energy shaking the heavens. The two merely exchanged a glance, and without a word spoken, they both simultaneously released their killing intent toward each other. Clearly, they had both sensed the supreme Dharmakaya each had cultivated. Both were cultivators of the Great Sun indestructible body. To evolve their Dharmakayas, they had to defeat their competitors, as the method of evolution could only be attained by one person. As soon as Chen's spiritual energy erupted, Xia wasted no time. She immediately activated her spiritual energy, and flames like crystal fire ignited across her delicate body. Xiao and Linjing were momentarily stunned. They clearly didn't understand why these two, who hadn't exchanged a single word, suddenly appeared ready for a life and death duel. But their confusion lasted only a moment before their gazes locked on Garuda, sensing the overwhelming spiritual energy fluctuations emanating from him. Compared to Chen, Garuda was just a stranger. Even though the latter seemed somewhat troublesome, this didn't stop Xiao and Linjing from deciding to assist Chen. Thus, behind Chen, all three women unleashed their spiritual energy. In an instant, Chen's side surged with power, suppressing the energy pressure Garuda had released, forcing it back 100 yards. Seeing this scene, Garuda's pupils slightly contracted. He glanced at Xiao and Linjing. Sensing the fluctuations emanating from them, it seemed that they were no weaker than him. If it were a one-on-one fight, he wouldn't be afraid of Chen. But right now, the opponent's lineup was strong. If they made a move, it was clear that he would be at a disadvantage. With that thought in mind, Garuda decided not to waste any more effort. The killing intent in his eyes gradually faded, and the powerful spiritual energy fluctuations around him also dissipated. He then smiled faintly at Chen and said, "I didn't expect you to have cultivated the Great Sun indestructible body as well. It's truly fate that we meet today." Despite being outnumbered and facing a strong formation, Garuda still spoke with ease and composure, showing no fear. Just this calm demeanor alone made Chen silently praise him. To be able to cultivate the Great Sun indestructible body, Garuda was certainly an extraordinary individual. Indeed, it is fate. Chen nodded with a warm smile. If one didn't know the situation, they might even think that the two were kindred spirits, eager to become close friends bound by life and death. But only Chen and Garuda knew that the person in front of him was a sworn enemy, and one that had to be eliminated. This wasn't a bond of life and death, it was a rivalry of life and death. However, even though Chen knew that Garuda was his greatest enemy in the battle for the evolution method of the Great Sun indestructible body, he had no intention of relying on Xiao and the others to gang up on him at this moment. He knew that even if they joined forces, Garuda likely had some hidden trump card to ensure his escape. Since that was the case, there was no need to make a move right now. The most important thing for Chen was to first receive the heavenly river baptism and strengthen himself. Of course, although he had no intention of fighting, Chen still gave Garuda a deep, guarded look, his eyes carrying a warning. "I understand," Garuda said with a careless smile, unfazed by Chen's gaze. He then retreated a short distance, signaling his temporary withdrawal. "This guy's a bit tricky, we can't be careless. How did you end up in conflict with him?" Xiao glanced at Garuda, who had withdrawn without hesitation, her brows slightly raised. She could tell that he was very powerful and adaptable, not someone easy to deal with. She had encountered him once before, but they hadn't fought much, though she could still sense his exceptional strength. This is the first time I've met him. I didn't provoke him, Chen shrugged and said. But only one of us can survive. As a practitioner of the Great Sun indestructible body, in some ways, the grudge between Chen and Garuda was even deeper than his grudge with Xiaoyu. Chen was well aware that even if he tried to back down, Garuda would likely do everything in his power to kill him. So, between the two of them, only one could live. Then just take him down. Lin Jing patted Chen's shoulder, encouraging him. That guy may not be simple, but the one who laughs last will definitely be you. You believe in me that much? Chen was a bit surprised upon hearing this. Lin Jing pouted slightly. Back then, my mother gave you such high praise. If you can't even deal with this guy, that would be too embarrassing. Chen could only roll his eyes. Beside them, Nether couldn't help but chuckle, then teasingly said, well, it seems the top 4 of the strongest list in the Tianluo continent aren't very friendly to you. Chen wasn't bothered by this. He looked at Xiao Xiao and Lin Jing with a smile and said, I'm not without friends to back me up. With the 4 of them gathered together, their lineup was already quite formidable. Even someone like Zhu Yin would have to retreat in the face of their combined strength. The 3 women rolled their eyes at him in unison. What now? The Heavenly River is right in front of us, but it seems we can't get in. Xiao Xiao quickly changed the topic, her beautiful eyes shining as she gazed at the Heavenly River and said. Chen narrowed his eyes and studied the scene for a moment before nodding. The Heavenly River is likely sealed. The seal was probably set by the Heavenly Emperor. It's impossible to force our way in. So what should we do? Lin Jing asked. The destination was right before them, but they couldn't enter, which made things frustrating. Chen remained calm. Don't worry. Once all the people holding the 9 mansions tokens gather here, the seal on the Heavenly River will naturally open, and that will be our chance to enter. Before they entered the ancient Heavenly Palace, Chen had already learned this information from Mandala. Xiao Xiao and the others let out a sigh of relief upon hearing this. They then sat down cross-legged on the peak of the mountain, speaking softly to each other as they waited for the others with the remaining tokens to arrive. Their wait, however, did not last long. That a sound of wind being broken came from afar, and a fiery red light streaked across the sky. Within a few breaths, it had appeared outside the Heavenly River. This guy came out so quickly. Lin Jing exclaimed in surprise as soon as she saw the fiery red light. Chen raised an eyebrow as well. He realized that the one coming was none other than Zhu Yin, who they had previously trapped in the wind mansion, eye in the sky. Zhu Yin stood in midair, his body seemingly flowing with magma. Clearly, he had sensed Chen and the others' presence, and immediately turned his gaze toward them, saying, I didn't expect you to be someone who keeps their word. He was addressing Chen, of course. Originally, he had thought Chen would tamper with the spiritual array that trapped him, but to his surprise, Chen had adjusted the array as promised, releasing him after being trapped for a while. Although Zhu Yin had the means to escape, even if Chen hadn't done that, the fact that Chen kept his word still took him by surprise. Chen smiled at Zhu Yin and said, You came faster than I expected. Zhu Yin replied indifferently. Although your trustworthiness surprised me, I don't intend to let this go so easily. You're always welcome. Chen nodded. Since he had chosen to act at that time, he never intended to let it slide. Are you from the Flame Spirit clan? Xiao Xiao suddenly asked with interest, her seductive face curling into a playful smile as she looked at Zhu Yin. Zhu Yin glanced at Xiao Xiao, his brows furrowing slightly. He sensed a dangerously strong aura coming from her. Who was this mysterious woman? He didn't remember seeing her beside Chen before. Xiao Xiao gave a delicate smile, and a 7-colored little snake crawled out from her shoulder, flicking its tongue at Zhu Yin. Zhu Yan's pupils immediately contracted as he stared at the 7-colored snake, his expression changing. Heaven-swallowing python. Are you from the boundless fire domain? What's your relation to the Flame Emperor? Years ago, the Flame Emperor had bet with the Flame Spirit clan and won their divine flame. Even when their slumbering ancestor awakened, they couldn't stop the Flame Emperor. This had almost become a disgrace for the Flame Spirit clan. Over the years, countless strong individuals from the clan had tried to reclaim the divine flame. Due to their rivalry, the Flame Spirit clan knew a lot about the boundless fire domain and was well aware that the heaven-swallowing python belonged to the domain's matron. The fact that Xiao Xiao had it meant she must have a close relationship with that matron. Of course, he's my father, Xiao Xiao said with a light smile, not hiding it at all. Zhu Yan's eyes seemed to erupt in fiery rage. Lava flowed down his body as he took a deep breath, locking his gaze on Xiao Xiao at that moment. He clearly didn't care about his previous grievances with Mu Chen. All he saw now was Xiao Xiao. Since that's the case, come with me back to the Flame Spirit clan, and let your father exchange the divine flame of our clan for your release. Fiery flames erupted from Zhu Yan's body, and it felt as though even the sky was burning. The intense flames swept across the world, filling the air with unbearable heat that it was as if the sky itself was on fire, and Zhu Yan, standing in the sky, resembled a fire god, exuding an oppressive aura that was terrifying. With this move, Zhu Yan revealed his immense strength. The pressure he exuded seemed even stronger than the previous Garuda, showing why he was ranked first on the strongest list. However, despite facing such a powerful Zhu Yan, Xiao Xiao's expression remained unchanged. Instead, she looked at him with a playful glint in her eyes and calmly said, "Are you sure my father really went to the Flame Spirit clan? Can you handle it?" When the Flame Emperor had wandered the Great Thousand Worlds, he had caused a huge uproar in the Flame Spirit clan. In the end, they had to awaken their slumbering ancestor, but they still couldn't stop him. They were forced to watch as he took the divine flame and left. Back then, the Flame Emperor was already this terrifying, let alone now. If the Flame Emperor were to return, even if the ancestor awoke again, it would be hard to say whether they could defeat him. Furthermore, at that time, the Flame Emperor had no power, but now he has established the terrifying super force known as the Boundless Fire Domain. Although the Flame Spirit clan is also one of the supreme forces in the Great Thousand Worlds, with an ancient heritage that undoubtedly surpasses the Boundless Fire Domain in terms of legacy, if war were to break out, the Flame Spirit clan would likely be destroyed, disappearing from the Great Thousand Worlds for good. Zhu Yan is well aware of this, which is why the flames that spread across the heavens and earth paused for a moment. Although he was reluctant to admit it, he understood very well. The fury of the Flame Emperor is something that the Flame Spirit clan probably cannot endure. However, although the Flame Emperor is terrifying, Zhu Yan is clearly not an ordinary person. Taking a deep breath, he said, "I'm only inviting you to visit the Flame Spirit clan. I won't harm you." Zhu Yan also understood that he could not truly harm Xiao Xiao, but if he were able to defeat her and bring her back to the Flame Spirit clan, this achievement would undoubtedly make him the true young clan leader. Hearing this, Xiao Xiao merely smiled lightly and said, "If you want me to go to the Flame Spirit clan with you, I'm afraid you're not qualified yet." Facing the number one figure on the strongest list of Tianluo continent, Xiao Xiao showed no signs of fear. Her father could suppress the Flame Spirit clan completely, and although she had not yet reached that level, she could still easily overpower the younger generation of the Flame Spirit clan. Seeing Xiao Xiao's nonchalant attitude, Zhu Yan's expression grew increasingly serious. If Xiao Xiao were truly easy to deal with, then it would be foolishness to think so. Even someone as strong as Zhu Yan deeply feared her in his heart. "In the ancient heavenly palace, I will fight you," Zhu Yan said in a low voice after hesitating for a moment. Since he had encountered Xiao Xiao, he would naturally have to take action. However, now is clearly not the best time to strike. After all, the heavenly river was right before them, and it was better to secure the opportunity first. "Do as you wish," Xiao Xiao replied lazily, showing no sign of concern over Zhu Yan's challenge. Zhu Yan gave her a deep look, then said no more. He withdrew and landed on a nearby mountain peak. "Any problems?" After seeing Zhu Yan leave, Mu Chen finally spoke up. The former's strength was indeed extraordinary and could not be underestimated. Xiao Xiao casually played with a colorful little snake and smiled slightly. "No problem, I'll handle this guy. He won't have time to trouble you all." She could also tell that Mu Chen and the others had some previous issues with Zhu Yan. Since the latter had come to them, she decided to step in and make sure he wouldn't have the chance to bother them further. Xiao Xiao spoke casually, but Mu Chen and the others could sense the unwavering confidence in her words. As the daughter of the Flame Emperor, she naturally had her own pride. Those from the Flame Spirit clan, knowing that they could not regain their lost honor through her father, were trying to find some confidence through her. She had no problem showing them what it meant to bring disgrace upon themselves. Mu Chen and the others nodded with a smile, Zhu Yin was indeed strong, but they also trusted the mysterious Xiao Xiao. After the brief interruption with Zhu Yin, everyone fell silent again, waiting patiently. After some time, another figure arrived quickly. It was none other than Su Qingyin, whom they had met earlier in front of the Dragon Ascension Gate. Su Qingyin was still riding a fierce four-winged beetle, moving at high speed. When she arrived outside the Heavenly River and saw that Mu Chen and the others had already arrived, she couldn't help but be a little surprised. "Heh, I didn't expect you to be so fast," Su Qingyin said with a smile as she looked at Mu Chen. Then her gaze subtly swept over Lin Jing and the unfamiliar Xiao Xiao, especially the latter, which made her heart tremble slightly. She sensed a faint aura of danger from her. Where did this guy find such a mysterious expert? Su Qingyin muttered to herself. It was clear that neither Lin Jing nor Xiao Xiao was from the Tianluo continent, or they wouldn't be so unfamiliar. Mu Chen merely nodded calmly in response to Su Qingyin's greeting. Although she had only gained the status of Azure Dragon Disciple at the Dragon Ascension Gate, Mu Chen knew very well that if it came down to a life-or-death battle, she would certainly be a formidable opponent. However, Su Qingyin was known for her capriciousness. So Mu Chen didn't plan on getting too close. That would only bring trouble. Su Qingyin clearly noticed Mu Chen's indifferent attitude. She curled her lips in response, no longer approaching him, and instead directed her beautiful gaze toward the vast heavenly river, her eyes shimmering with an unusual light. After Su Qingyin, another group arrived shortly. As expected, it was a familiar face. This was the same group from the Great Xia dynasty that had previously confronted Mu Chen and the others outside Dragon Island. However, this time, the group appeared somewhat disheveled, with several members clearly having suffered casualties. Only 4 or 5 people remained, but each of them exuded a powerful aura. As soon as Xia Yu appeared, his cold and vicious gaze locked onto Mu Chen. However, the latter showed no reaction, his eyes still half closed. Seeing this, Xia Yu snorted coldly. His eyes then briefly scanned the others, including Jialo Luo and Zhu Yin, and they flickered with a hint of interest. After Xia Yu's arrival, the distant skies began to resonate with the sound of rushing wind. One after another, figures appeared, streaking through the air and landing outside the heavenly river. These figures all possessed considerable power, with none weaker than the peak of the 9th grade. Many were top-tier experts cultivated by the leading forces on the Tianluo continent, while some unfamiliar yet equally powerful figures likely came from forces beyond Tianluo. In the span of just an hour, the once quiet heavenly river had grown lively. As waves of spiritual energy surged into the sky, it was clear that those arriving here were far from ordinary. With the gathering of more and more figures, the mighty heavenly river seemed to react, and a clear, melodious sound of flowing water echoed through the air. The sound of water spread, and everyone felt their spiritual energy stir as an overwhelming thirst surged within them. It was as if their inner spiritual power longed to enter the heavenly river for purification and refinement. Buzz, buzz, at the same time. Mu Chen felt his wind mansion token on the back of his hand growing warm. Suddenly, it emitted a flash of light, shooting upward. Whoosh, whoosh. In other places, those holding their own tokens saw beams of light shoot from them as well, all converging toward the heavenly river, gradually forming a massive symbol. Mu Chen's eyes brightened at the sight. It seemed that the 9 mansion tokens had all gathered here. Ancient runes swirled around, and beams of light were cast onto the seal outside the heavenly river. The seal trembled, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth began to roil. The seal slowly ripped open, creating a narrow gap. Boom. As soon as the gap was torn open, thunderous sounds erupted from within, and a vast, shocking wave of spiritual energy poured out, causing the spiritual energy of the world to boil. Such pure spiritual energy, Xiao Xiao and the others sensed the overwhelming surge from the gap, and couldn't help but be moved. It was evident that the heavenly river contained not only spiritual energy but other profound powers as well. In that moment, they could clearly sense their own spiritual energy, their bodies, and even their supreme Dharma bodies, all crying out in desire. If they could undergo the baptism of the heavenly river, they would undergo a profound transformation, from the inside out, including their supreme Dharma bodies. Mu Chen couldn't help but lick his lips, his eyes filled with fiery anticipation. In the Great Luo Heaven Domain, there was a Great Luo Golden Pool, and when he first arrived, he used it to strengthen his supreme Dharma body. However, comparing the Great Luo Golden Pool to the heavenly river before him, the difference was night and day. If I can succeed in the baptism, it will lay a solid foundation for advancing to the Earth Supreme Realm. Mu Chen exchanged glances with Xiao Xiao and the others, and in the next instant, they all surged forward toward the crack in the seal. The heavenly river was right before them, and no one wanted to miss this opportunity. Boom. Their movements triggered an immediate response from the many powerhouses observing the scene, and a deafening sound of rushing wind filled the air as they charged toward the crack in the seal. At this moment, the entire realm was in an uproar.